Good afternoon, everyone. How's everybody doing today? I am so grateful that everyone has come out to celebrate and meet with us on this March edition of our GGRA Luncheon. And I tell you, I love every time we play that video, just seeing everyone and also just the fact that we were meeting together in person. I really, really miss that. But I am Lorenzo Lewis, and I am the president of GGRA. But I want to say that this is one of my last official capacities as GGRA, as later on this afternoon, we will be voting to usher in a new executive committee for this year and then next year. So at this time, like I always do, I just really want to thank everyone, starting with my executive committee, starting with my vice president, Brendan Spire. Just thank you so much for everything that you've done for GGRA and for me over this past year. It's just been a joy being with you. And then also our secretary, Antoinette, for all your help and all your wisdom. And also our treasury. I don't even know if Taylor is on, but Taylor, thank you so much for everything that you've done. It's been a pleasure serving you. And then also it's just been a pleasure just serving everyone that's connected to GGRA. So thank you guys so much for what you do. And our members, I'll thank you a little bit more just a little bit later. But right now, I want to go into our introductory for our reentry organizations and welcome any new members that we have. So we have two new members, actually. We have Miss Angela Matthews and also Miss Tamika Skeet. If you're out there, Tamika, I know Angela is coming on later. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate you becoming part of the family. But right now, I want to bring up our wonderful organizations to talk a little bit about what they are doing and then give some contact information. So at this time, do we have anyone that wants to speak about their organization and give us some contact information on how to connect with you? The floor is open.
How open is it?
All right. Hey, there he is. How you doing, my friend?
Man, like, is it open?
Yeah, come on.
Okay. What's up, everybody? My name is Matt Davis. I'm the Community Outreach Director for Obria Medical Clinics, Gwinnett. Also, as of the beginning of this year, the student pastor at Westside Baptist Church in Snellville. I haven't been on in a little bit just because of scheduling conflicts, but did want to let everybody know that here at Obria, we have started alongside of our medical pregnancy testing, pregnancy ultrasound, well woman care, and STI testing and treatment for men and women. We're now providing full prenatal care in a very unique way. We're doing supportive pregnancy care, which means that we're forming cohorts of women due all around the same time to do group pregnancy visits, which instead of like a 15-minute checkup, it'll be about a 2-hour visit where they're, like I said, it's women all due around the same time. So we're creating friendships, creating lasting relationships in this, and it also allows them each to ask the doctor questions. So it's about a 2-hour visit. This has been shown to reduce preterm labor, reduce maternal mortality, which are really big deals, especially in the state of Georgia. The state of Georgia, we now rank number 2 in the nation in maternal mortality deaths. I think it's because Louisiana just got a little bit worse, but we were number 1 for a long time. What's also unique about that is if somebody is, if they're homeless, if they're that working poor, if they're undocumented, we can see them at very low to even no cost. So full prenatal care in Gwinnett County, really, but for anybody. It doesn't matter if they're just in Gwinnett. Potential for a no-cost full prenatal care, which is really exciting, something we're really glad to be doing. So thanks for letting me have the floor for just a little bit, and I'll stop talking now, which is rare.
Well, that's awesome, and we love everything that you guys are doing over there. And I tell you, Matt, you might have a career as an auctioneer, because you were just going right through it, buddy. But thank you so much for sharing. Anyone else? I see.
Hey, Lorenzo, it's hard to follow Matt.
Oh, but you're the man. How you doing, sir?
Hey, good, Lorenzo. Good to see you guys. And hey, Brendan and everyone else. This is Brian Tenapoli with Department of Community Affairs. You've heard me speak before about the Reentry Partnership Housing Program that provides transitional housing for up to 6 months for our returning citizens. And the good news, our provider application cycle just opened in March, and it will be available throughout the entire month of March. I don't want to take too much time, but in a nutshell, we reimburse providers $750 per month per individual or $850 per month per individual for mental health level 3 classifications. And these are for individuals coming out of jail or prison who are homeless, or if they're under felony supervision and they're homeless, or they've been remanded to an accountability court. And our providers provide the housing and make sure the individuals have food access. So those are the two things they're responsible for. And I'll put some more information in the chat box and the link to contact me also. And thank you for your time, and everyone have a great rest of the day.
Oh, thank you so much, Brian, for sharing. And we have room for maybe one more. Is there anyone else?
Yeah, this is Abe Holland. I work at the Georgia Department of Labor, specifically with veterans. And I just wanted to remind folks, if you know of any veterans who are returning citizens that need housing, job assistance training, direct them to me. I'll put my telephone number in the chat box. Yeah, we have programs specifically designed to assist veterans, and we can also work with, well, I can work with non-veterans as well. So
I would just like to come in and second the motion on that as far as veteran support, Abe. This might be a good thing to put in the back of your pocket there. There's a lady that is operating a veterans care home, and she's also connected with the VA in Decatur, and her veteran home is over in Roswell right now, but she's opening a new facility, and Danny Pagan and I are going to go down and visit her next Monday at that facility in Decatur, which might be more accessible to some of our veterans that need kind of a assisted living type of environment. And so that just for information. I'll let you know how it goes. Thank you.
All right, that's awesome. Thank you, Russell, for that. And Abe, good to hear you. Hadn't talked with you in a while. Glad you're doing well. All right, so now very quickly before we bring up our featured speaker for this afternoon, again, just want to thank all our members and our partners for coming alongside of us and partnering with us in this effort in the reentry space. We really, truly appreciate it. And online now on the screen, you can see some of our providers there that we just really, really appreciate. And I want to bring up my vice president to speak a little bit more about membership. Brandon?
Thanks, Lorenzo. So to become a partner of GGRA, if you're an organization that would like to join as a partner organization, you can just go to our website, GwinnettReentry.org, and click on join. And then there's a spot on the left for a membership and a spot on the right for partnership. You can find out more about what it means to be a GGRA partner and connect with us that way. If you'd like to be a member of GGRA, we really couldn't do this without you. The Zoom channel that we've got here and all of the different resource fairs that we do, presenting at tabling at different events, going around and evangelizing at different events around the country even. We've even gone to Chattanooga, Tennessee to talk about GGRA. So that couldn't be done without the generous donations of our members. So membership is an annual event that you can renew each year. And you can do that by going to GwinnettReentry.org and click on join. We have discounted the membership rate by $10 using the code Better Chances. One of the perks of membership is that you can vote on the new officers that are running for election in our executive committee this year. You can also run for office if you're a member. So again, if you're not sure if you're a member or if your membership's in good standing, you can give me a chat in the Zoom chat and I will look you up. You can also email me, brendan@gwinnettreentry.org or info@gwinnettreentry.org, and we can check out your membership there. But again, annual membership dues, if you haven't renewed in a while, you should be getting an email, but it should say that you're up for renewal. But you can always go online to gwinnettreentry.org and click on join and enter better chances as the code and save yourself $10. Back to Lorenzo.
All right, thank you so much, Brenda, for that. And we really do appreciate everything that our members and partners contribute to this cause. We can't do it without you, as he said, and we just thank you so much for that. So now I want to bring up our featured speaker, but before I do, I just want to say a little bit about the Georgia Justice Project. What a wonderful organization. I don't want to give anything away, but they're a wonderful organization in the reentry space. I'm actually working with them right now with my application for a pardon. Wonderful organization. And I'm going to bring up the policy and outreach coordinator, Miss Ann Colton, to give you some wonderful information. So please lean in as she shared with everyone. Ann, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. Brandon, I need permission to share my screen
All right.
because I have some slides.
Sure, not a problem. I will stop my share and you should be able to do that now.
Okay, thank you. All right. So tell me if that's looking all right, like it should.
Looking good, yes.
Okay, all right. And then the other thing to say is when I'm in this, I can't see the chat box, so I will pause between each of my segments to ask for questions. So if somebody can, you can unmute yourself and ask, or somebody else can read them from the chat for me, but I don't want to be ignoring questions. It's just that I can't see them when I'm sharing my screen.
What we're going to do, and also is after your presentation, we're going to allow for a little bit of time to ask questions.
Okay,
right?
sure. Yeah, and I'll pause, but just like if I'm missing something, I just don't want people to think I'm ignoring them.
Okay.
What was there? Oh, and I will share these slides afterwards. And I have a lot of handouts. I'm going to be referring to handouts because I'm going to go kind of quickly over some of the things, record restriction, for a couple of reasons. One, because I'm not an attorney and so don't know all the details and every single detail. And we have a First Friday presentation, the first Friday of every month, that goes into a lot of detail about record restriction. And so if you would like more information, you can hear it there. But I will share a lot of handouts and put them into a Google folder. So I'll just put that in the chat, and that way you have all the things on one place rather than a whole bunch of links in the chat. So, but a little bit about the Georgia Justice Project. We are a nonprofit located in Atlanta, been around for 35 years. And we help people who have pending criminal cases in Fulton and DeKalb County, represent people and pair everyone with a lawyer and a social worker to, represent them the best way possible in their case, and then support them throughout if they happen to be incarcerated during their incarceration, support their families, help them upon reentry. We also do a lot of reentry lawyering because, as is no surprise to anyone here, your prison sentence isn't over as soon as, when your sentence is over, that those collateral consequences can last and create a lot of barriers to reentry. So with the clients that we've represented, in addition to, and also at the Metro Reentry Facility, we help people removing legal barriers to reentry, whether it's housing, employment, that kind of thing. And our record clearing, which is a lot of what I'm going to talk about today, expungement, record restriction, a lot of names for the same thing, is a lot of the work that we do statewide. And then our policy work, which is the primary focus for me, I'm going to talk about probation reform in particular, because there's one bill that I think will impact a lot of people, which I think is one thing, something that people want to hear about. We're also looking at a lot of other things: driver's license suspensions, child support reform, expanding expungement a little bit this year. It'll be a bigger thing next year. And occupational licensing. So those things I'm not going to go into as much depth, but if you do know people who've had driver's license suspended for, particularly if it's for FTAs, and it, once you get into that system, you get locked into a cycle, and it keeps spiraling with driving on suspended license and more fees and more fines, and it's just hard to get out of that system. Or people who have child support debt and have had their driver's license suspended for that, please reach out to me. We'd like to hear from people, and as we work toward changing some policies going into next year's session. So I'm going to start out talking about record restriction options. Last year, we passed a bill called Senate Bill 288 that expanded what options people have for restricting and sealing their record to help remove barriers to employment and housing. And I'll talk about how Georgia Justice Project helps with that. So if you need help yourself or want to refer people that you work with, you know how to do that. And then about our Senate Bill 105, dealing with early termination of probation, felony probation, and then voting rights, because I think it's always important to talk about voting rights whenever we're talking about reentry. So, so the first thing, just generally, what is record restriction? So some terms I'll be using. So commonly we call it expungement. In Georgia, it's actually they don't use that word in the legal setting, but it's called restriction and sealing. It's a two-step process. The first is restricting the record from the GCIC report. GCIC is the Georgia Crime Information Center, the official database run by the GBI. But the second step is sealing of the court record. So, and that is actually the most important step. You have to restrict it first before you can seal it. But the sealing step is actually the very most important in terms of removing barriers to reentry, because that is where private background check companies get their records. So when you apply for a job or housing, that's where they get the records. So you have to do that sealing step as well. And then I'll also talk about pardons, which is a certificate of forgiveness by the state. In and of itself, it does not restrict or seal the record, but it is now under the new law, it is the first step toward being able to restrict and seal felony convictions. And it can be helpful in other ways, even if without that second step. And then first offender is another legal designation that if you successfully complete first offender, your sentence is not considered a conviction. And so there's a separate that impacts whether you have to say, yes, I've been convicted of a felony on a job application, and it's just a different process for restricting and sealing as well. So just starting off. So if I have a felony conviction, how can I get that off my record? So there's three different options: retroactive first offender, restriction and sealing, and the Survivor's First Act. So retroactive first offender, if somebody has only one felony conviction, this is a possibility for them. So if they've never used first offender before and they weren't informed about first offender as an option at the time that they were sentenced, and they don't have any other prior felonies, they would be eligible if it's not an excluded offense. And usually those are the serious violent felonies are not eligible for first offender. That is a possibility. So, we have people come in 20 years and it's basically you get resentenced as a first offender looking backwards. So that is one option to consider. Felony restriction and sealing. As I mentioned earlier, if someone has gotten a pardon for felony convictions, they can then apply to have those restricted and sealed. So I'll talk a minute about pardons in a minute, but so everything is potentially eligible for a pardon no matter the offense, but only certain ones that have been pardoned would be eligible for restriction and sealing. And this is one. Oops, you hear my kids in the background. There are, and there's a list of excluded offenses in one of the handouts that I will share. So this is a new thing. This is the very first time, Georgia, you've ever, besides, getting first offender, the only first time that felony convictions have ever been able to come off of someone's record. So a pardon, if somebody has already used first offender, so that's not an option, or they have multiple felonies or a felony and multiple misdemeanors, a pardon is often the best option for someone. So that you can apply for a pardon without an attorney. I mean, we do help people with some of those, but it's certainly not something that you need an attorney to do. Someone is eligible for a pardon after then off paper completed their sentence, including probation and parole, for at least 5 years, have lived what they call it a crime-free life, and has paid all fines and restitution and not have any pending charges. So there is an application process on the Board of Pardons and Parole's website. And it's a long, it's a very long application, very in-depth. They do interviews, you need letters of recommendation. And then the decision can take 6 to 9 months for the parole board to decide. And once, if you do receive a pardon, then the next step is the restriction and sealing. And I should say that if you ever did a restriction and sealing for a non-conviction, that was a 3-page application, but anything, any of the other restrictions and sealings related to convictions require a petition to the court. And so we are working on getting pro se petitions that people can fill out and complete themselves. But for the most part, it does require a lawyer through this process. So it's not as easy as the non-convictions were. Another option for restricting and sealing of felony convictions is the Survivors First Act for people who are survivors of human trafficking. So a lot of times if people are connected with a nonprofit that works with trafficking survivors, they can help access this. And it's even a broader eligibility criteria. You only have to wait 1 year, and the eligible offenses are much more inclusive than the other things that are eligible under Senate Bill 288. In terms of misdemeanor convictions, similar things with retroactive first offender, restriction and sealing, and Survivors First Act. So retroactive first offender, you can use first offender for misdemeanor. And I think once you've used it for a misdemeanor, you can't use it for a felony. So that's something just to consider, that the attorney that's working with you would talk about that. But if you're going backwards, if you have one misdemeanor conviction and, the risk of getting arrested again is not a concern, then this is a great opportunity to go back, because then it's not considered a conviction. And it's first offender, so it wouldn't be on your record at all. And misdemeanor convictions, again, it used to be that only misdemeanor convictions before you turned 21 were eligible for restriction and sealing, but as of January 1st this year, because of the bill that was passed last year, that age restriction is gone. And so up to 2 misdemeanor convictions can be restricted and sealed under this new law. So 4 years after the completion of a sentence, someone can petition to restrict and seal up to 2 misdemeanor convictions. There are excluded offenses, DUIs, many theft offenses, crimes against children, and most family violence convictions, unless the person was under 21 at the time that they were arrested. And again, the Survivors First Act is also possible to vacate sentences under for victims of human trafficking. Only 6 months waiting period. And again, the offenses are much broader. There's no exceptions for that. So what if I wasn't convicted? Since 2013, arrests that didn't lead to a conviction have been eligible for record restriction. So, if it wasn't prosecuted, it was null prost, if you were acquitted, things like that, or just dismissed, those are eligible as well. And that process is this 3-page application that's on the GCIC website. And so that was anything that was before 2013. After July 1st, 2013, it is supposed to be automatically restricted and in the GCIC record. That unfortunately doesn't always happen. Prosecutors don't always enter the disposition and then restrict it. So you don't just assume that. I would suggest, if that's a question, have someone get a copy of their GCIC record, which you can do from any arresting agency. And we recommend getting a purpose code U. A purpose code C is what law enforcement agencies can get, and a purpose code E is what employers can get, but a U is the personal purpose code that we recommend getting, because then it's only you as the individual, the only person who can get that. And it would show you things like a first offender conviction that was restricted. So that's why it's helpful to see the U, so you can see everything that's on there and what has happened in that. First offender, again, it's not considered a conviction if someone has successfully completed it, but that doesn't always mean that the data was recorded accurately. So again, get a GCIC and make sure it's on there. And then that second step of the expungement process, sealing the court records, so that when a private background check company goes, making sure that that is sealed and not available for the public. We often get the question, where when I do have a record, I haven't been able to get it expunged yet, or I'm not eligible for expungement, how do I do that? Our recommendation is to be honest and to know exactly what's on your record and answer the questions that are asked. If they say, have you ever been convicted of something, but you have an arrest, you don't have to mention that. If they only ask about Georgia convictions, you don't have to mention things that weren't in Georgia. So ask that. And in the labor market today, a lot of employers are being more flexible than they used to in terms of hiring people with a record. And so sometimes they just want to have people be honest about what's on their record. So one of the handouts that I will share will have some more in-depth suggestions on that as well. So this is our contact information. You can call that number and leave a message, and we will call you back about an appointment, or you can email the intake email address that's listed there. And that's how you can start the process to attend our First Friday presentation and schedule an appointment to meet with an attorney to go over your particular record. It's really hard to ask a question, even though you might think it's a simple question, in an email without seeing the official record, because often what people think happened and what did happen, or what got recorded in the court records, are different. And so we don't want to give information in email or over the phone that might not be accurate without actually looking at the record. But that's the contact information for how you can get in touch with GJP, who can help you through that process. If what I was describing today, you think that fits your situation and you might be eligible for this, for some assistance, then please reach out to us. So if people have questions right now about record restriction, I could pause and take them before I move on to talk about our policy work.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So you go through the record restriction and and the pardons and things like that, and it's successful.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something that you may have even answered this, but is it something that they would need to do in the court just to make sure that everything is recorded correctly? You said.
Yes, I would say, once there's been a motion to seal filed, which would then seal the court records, I think it can't hurt to go to that courthouse. If it was in Gwinnett County or DeKalb or wherever it is, go to that courthouse and say, I had a record here. It was supposed to be sealed. Here's my name, date of birth, if you know your case number, whatever it is, and just say, I want to make sure that is sealed. And they should be able to tell you that, and then should be able to even provide the court order, like the signed order to seal, just to prove that. But I think it is always wise to go back and check that has happened.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? Okay. Well, then I'll talk about probation policy reform, why it's needed, what our bill will do to change that, and then how you can help advocate for that change. So this picture, I think, tells the story. These are all the states, and I know this font is very small, but these are all the states in the United States, and Georgia is at the top of that map or top of the chart. So with the highest rate of correctional control in the country, more people caught up in our criminal justice system per capita than any other state in the country. So the blue part is the state prison rate, yellow is federal prison rate, orange is the local jail rate, green is parole, and then that big red line is probation. So we have the highest probation rate in the country. That's due to just the number of people under community supervision, mostly because we have the longest sentences in the country. And it's not, don't let anybody fool you that criminal justice reform is the cause of that, because we still have the 4th highest incarceration rate in the country as well. It's not because we use probation as an alternative to incarceration. We got the 4th highest incarceration rate also, and our crime rate is way lower than that. So this is just, we're locking up and saddling way too many people with community supervision. So this is the pie chart of everyone who is in the criminal justice system in Georgia. 3/4 of the people in the criminal justice system are on probation. Half are on misdemeanor probation and half are on felony probation. Our bill will change what happens with people on felony probation. So if you were comparing Georgia, like the other chart, to other states, so we have 1 in 18 adults are under community supervision compared to 1 in 58 nationally. That's 3 times the national average. And I talked about our probation sentences. Those are also 3 times longer than the national average. Many states cap their probation sentences at 5 years or less, because the research shows the longer you keep somebody on supervision, like it's not necessary, and it really just drives not recidivism. Like once people have been on probation for 2 to 3 years, the recidivism rate is so small, but the reincarceration rate, because of technical violations, is high because of missing curfews and things like that. Not new crimes, but that is contributes to 25% of our prison admissions every year in Georgia. Very expensive, very costly, damaging to families, and incredibly costly to the state. So 40% of our prison sentences are 10 years or more, even though research shows that's not necessary or helpful. So Georgia recognized this as part of the Criminal Justice Reform Council. In 2017, we actually passed probation reform that was supposed to allow early termination of people who had done well on probation, that they could apply for early termination of their sentence after 3 years. But unfortunately, because of the process, it was unclear. There was like 3 different pathways for early termination, and one pathway had one set of criteria, another one had another set of criteria, and the process in the courts was different. And so there was confusion between the judges and DCS about who should be eligible for that. And so very, very few people could take advantage of that process. So what Senate Bill 105 does is create a uniform criteria across all those different pathways and a unified process so that everybody's on the same page about it. So if someone has completed 3 years on probation, they haven't had any revocations in the last 24 months, and they have not had any other arrests besides a non-serious traffic violation, and they've paid all restitution, that doesn't mean all fines necessarily, it just means all restitution, then somebody is eligible for early termination. And DCS will automatically, when those criteria are met, generate a court order that a judge will then sign to terminate someone's felony probation. A judge can request a hearing for that and refuse it if they want, but if somebody's doing well, we're hopeful that this will impact tens of thousands of people immediately, and each month when more people meet those milestones will be eligible for early termination. So to me, this is a game changer, and it will like shrink that red line by about 1/3 immediately and keep it going back. So if you're interested in this, either helping advocate for change, or if you want to keep track of what happens with this bill so you know that it passed and what this means for yourself or people that you work with, please sign. I'll put this in the chat too. Sign up for the action alerts, and then you will know about the bill. And then when it's hopefully it's passed, and then hopefully when it becomes law, we can share information about what that means then as well. So does anyone have any questions about this bill before I move on to talk about voting?
I do have, I have a question.
Okay, sure.
Well, this is so wonderful, all this information. I was just wondering, is it any way that we can get a printed copy of, you know, everything that you're sharing with us?
Yes, that'll be in the Google folder that I'll share in the chat. So I did put all these slides into a PDF that I can share as well. And a lot of these handouts, like the fact sheets and the graphs, yes, all that is in there.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Well, I'll just talk a little bit about voting. Hopefully you already know this, but if not, I want to share it because there's so many people who are indeed eligible to vote and don't know it. You know, with that long red line of people on probation, that unfortunately drives a lot of disenfranchisement of people who are serving a long probation sentence. But when somebody gets that early termination, or if you're already completed your probation and parole sentence, you are eligible to vote. So unless somebody is currently serving a sentence for a felony conviction, they can vote. And a first offender sentence, as long as it hasn't been revoked, is not considered a conviction. So that person can vote while they're still under sentence. You never lose your right to vote if you're on first offender. If somebody is in jail and is not serving a sentence for a felony conviction, they're also eligible to vote while they're in jail. And misdemeanor convictions have no impact on voting eligibility. So when somebody is completed with their sentence, probation and parole, all they need to do is go and re-register, and then they're eligible to vote. You don't need your record expunged or pardoned or anything like that. A common question we get asked is, what about fines and fees, right? That's in the national news about some states where that, even though somebody's off paper, they still have fines and what that is. But this is information directly from the Georgia Secretary of State's office website, and they're the office that oversees elections in our state. So the fine print says that most fines are imposed as a condition of probation. And so those are automatically canceled upon completion of probation. So in most cases, fines will not impact someone's ability to vote if their probation is over. And then it goes on to say that the felony sentence is considered complete even if there's unpaid restitution, fees, costs, and surcharges. So, and what kinds of fines are, there's that loophole, like what kinds of fines aren't canceled and, you know, all that, like, and it's, so there's some ambiguity there. But it is virtually impossible to tell which fines might still be out there. So if DCS says your probation is ended, if you get the termination letter or a certificate of sentence completion from DCS or a court order saying your probation was terminated, then your probation is terminated and you're eligible to vote. That's what we recommend that people do. So if you go to register and they say, well, we have you in the system as having a felony conviction, what we recommended, it worked really well this fall when people were trying to register to vote, is you can get a certificate of sentence completion from DCS, and you can get that from your probation officer or any DCS office. If you happen to move, you give them your name, your ID, your date of birth, all that kind of stuff, and they should be able to generate a certificate of sentence completion. And you bring that to the registrar and say, here, look, I'm off paper now, I should be eligible. And usually that works. And at our website here and in the information that I'll send in the Google folder, we have posters you can print and share with people. We have social media squares. We have a frequently asked question sheet that goes through all these details that I just shared as well. And if Brendan doesn't bring this up later, just another learning opportunity that GJP is a part of. Coming up through the Justice Reform Partnership next Tuesday morning, there is a Talk Justice Tuesday presentation about reentry. So we'll be talking a little bit more about probation reform and hearing from reentry service providers around the state. So that is all I have. I can put the information in the chat or answer any questions that people have as well.
Thank you so much, Ann, for your time and this wealth of information. As I said at the beginning, this was going to be a special treat. I know it was for me because You guys do such good work at the Georgia Justice Project. So does anyone have any questions for Ann at this time? No? Oh, I'm surprised. Well, again, thank you so much for your time today, and we look forward to this information that you're going to leave with us.
I have a question for Brendan, really.
Great.
Will we be able to see this whole presentation again on a replay?
Yes, yes, you will be
Okay.
able to see it again.
Okay, it was very well done.
Sure, and yeah, the information is in the chat as well, including the slides. So if you don't want to hear me again, but you just want to look at the slides, they're all in the link in the chat.
Again, thank you, Ann, so much.
Sure.
All right, good rest of your day. Okay, so at this point in time, let me get my screen back. All right, so at this time, since we didn't have any questions, what I want to do right now is bring back up our Vice President to talk about our Better Chance Symposiums and give some updates. Brendan?
Thank you, Lorenzo. And before we do that, I am going to make a really cool announcement that the governor has declared April as Second Chance Month. So Governor Kemp has declared the entire month of April as Second Chance Month in Georgia. And we got that, I believe, 2 years ago. They sat out last year for COVID and didn't issue a proclamation, but now it's official, Second Chance Month, April of 2021. And what that does is kind of highlight the issues that we've been talking about and that we're all too familiar with, but puts it on a statewide level. It talks about the number of people that have a criminal record and are incarcerated, and that we should award second chances to all. So that is going on statewide. Also countywide, we're working with the Board of Commissioners in Gwinnett to have a Second Chance Month proclamation issued. Stay tuned for more information on that. It's probably going to be the beginning of April when we get that. So Second Chance Month. And Lorenzo, were you going to talk about the symposium, or do you want me to? Okay, I'll talk about the symposium. Our symposium is going to be live to you on Friday, April 16th. With this crazy world we live in, we had to pre-record our symposium this year. We actually pre-recorded it 2 Fridays ago on the 19th of February. We recorded it over at Navigate Recovery in Gwinnett, and had a great time with Rachel and our producer or our filmer, Mike Rowe, not the guy from Dirty Jobs, but he's a videographer here in Gwinnett, and he was kind enough to lend his video services to us. So we had a great day filming the symposium, which will air on the 16th of April. And some more pictures from the day. We had Scott, our MC, along with Lorenzo there, kind of posing for some pictures. And then, of course, our illustrious Russell Gray holding the Second Chance Award. And you can see he's strategically placed so you can't see who won that award, but you're not going to want to miss it on April 16th to see who is the recipient of our 2021 Second Chance Award, named after former Governor Nathan Deal. So again, you could go to our website, GwinnettReentry.org, and stay tuned for information. Join our mailing list, and you'll get the link as soon as it airs on the 16th at noon. Lorenzo, back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Brendan. We had a wonderful time filming that. In my estimation, I feel that it was done very professionally, and we are very excited to bring it to everyone on next month. I'm actually excited to see the end result as well. We had a good time. I really enjoyed it. So at this time, what we want to do now, we want to present our have a need, meet a need. And what that is anyone that know of any need that's out there in the community, we want to bring it to our members and partners and in the hopes of someone could potentially have an answer or give some information that would help someone fulfill a need that they may have. So at this point in time, does anyone know of a need that we can possibly meet?
Lorenzo, I actually have a need that was brought to us on the GGRA hotline. Someone called in wanting to know if there were background-friendly apartment complexes in the Gwinnett County area. And that kind of stumped me. I'm not familiar with any. So if anyone knows of any ideas on apartment complexes that may be background-friendly.
Well, I will say this, I mean, and this was years ago. I'm not even sure if this company is in existence, but it was called, I think it was called Apartment Getters, apartmenthelp.com. And they were located on Pleasant Hill, right next to Best Buy. And what they would do is gather all of your information, and what they called it is second chance apartments, and they had knowledge of apartment complexes that were very willing to help someone that had a record. I'm not sure if they're even in existence anymore. I mean, you can look it up in Google, but that was one that helped me during the early years find someone, that knew of my situation. I didn't have to worry about that. So that may be of some help.
Hey, Brendan, did you reach out to Home First and like Matt Elder's folks out there to see if they had any ideas?
I'll put them on the list. Lorenzo, what was the name of the place you were talking about?
I believe it was apartmenthelp.com or I'm not sure because it was so long ago, but I will say it was on Pleasant Hill Road. So maybe, if you can look up something like that, it may help bring it up.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else have any information?
Yes, I pulled it up just now.
Okay.
I Googled it actually, and it's saying that they still have it. I'm trying to see where they say it's located.
What is it called again?
Well, I'm looking at the one in Atlanta. It says Second Chance Apartments. Find Second Chance Apartments near you. And I simply Googled it under Second Chance.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get to the website here, it just asks you to put in your name and the information, and what you're trying and what you're looking for, and then they say they will get in touch with you. There's a whole big. I could let's see, how can I do this? I can send this to you. Do you have an email address? Or
I've got it in the chat, so I've just pasted the link to it in the chat.
okay, you got it there.
Yep.
The Second Chance of Atlanta.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Good deal. All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Gail and Brendan for pulling that up, and Matt as well. Is there anyone else that know of a need that we could possibly help meet?
Yes, we had a guy come into the Gwinnett Veteran Resource Center just yesterday. A guy by the name of Donald. I don't know anything more than that, but I referred him somewhere and I told him to get back to me if it didn't work out. But I just told him to try Hall County. I didn't know of anything.
So he's in the email?
No, he's a second. He's on the registry, on the sexual registry, and
okay.
Housing in Gwinnett. And I told him I didn't know of anything in Gwinnett right away, but I referred him to Hall County. But do we have any housing? And I know Judy House at one time had some of COVID. I think they kind of put things on hold.
Oh, okay.
Anybody else with housing, even a program environment to someone on the registry?
Russell, I'll get with you offline about that. There is a program that I'm aware of, and I'm finding out more information about it. They'll actually pay for the treatment for people on the registry that are under, counseling treatment, and I believe it's $900 a month, and they are looking to get more beds. They're looking, of course, I've directed them to Brian and DCA to, I think he does have one house in DeKalb County that is under DCA and RPH, but I'm trying to get him into Gwinnett County because that is a great need here in Gwinnett is housing for people on the registry.
Sounds good, Brendan.
I'll get with you.
Good, thanks.
Okay, well, man, that's great. And like you said, this is something that's really a need. It really is. And that's some good information right there. Is there anyone else that knows of a need or that has a need themselves that we could possibly help you with? No? Okay, so with that being said, we're about to adjourn, and we were going to vote after the luncheon, but Brendan, could you tell them what we came up with instead?
Sure. We're going to take last minute nominations. Not that we don't have a great list of people already nominated, but if you have that last minute nomination you want to get in, we'll go ahead and take that at the link on your screen, which is that tinyurl.com/GGRA nominate. And you have to be a member to run for office, and you also have to be a member to vote. What's going to happen is later this afternoon, the members are going to receive an email with a ballot. It'll be a link to a Google form that they can fill out and cast their vote, their ballot, and then we will tabulate the results and send an email out tomorrow with, I guess by the end of the week. So you'll have until, let's give you till Friday to cast your ballot, cast your vote, but be looking for this evening an email from GGRA with the ballot. So you have probably until, I'll give you another hour or two to get your nomination if you have one, and then we'll send that email out around 3 or 4 o'clock. You'll have till Friday to vote, and all those instructions will be in the email. Now, if you're not a member already and you want to run or you want to vote, you can go to GwinnettReentry.org, click join, enter the code Better Chances, and you can join as a member today.
Great. Amen. So in closing, I just want to say that this will be a changing of the guards after the voting, and we'll be ushering in a new executive team. And I just want to again just thank everyone for allowing us to serve you in this executive committee team that's currently here. I just want to maybe if anybody wanted to say anything to any of our executive committees that are here now, because I myself, I love the opportunity of serving on this past year. I only wish that we could have had some in-person time, but still in all, I just treasure the time of serving as your president. But I'll be moving on to other endeavors. I'll be going on staff with an organization called Prison Fellowship. So I am not running for a second term. And I just wanted to say it's been a pleasure serving you guys. And if any of you may want to say one or two things to our executive team that's here now that may or may not come back next term, I'll open that for you real quick.
Yes, I would join others in saying thanks a lot to the team, executive team this year, and particularly some who are going to be coming back. At least one, Brendan will be coming back, and so we're looking forward to that. And yeah, others that have served, we thank you very much. And also some former members of the executive board are coming back in too. That I think these are important things to keep us going. And I think there's still hope for a in-person meeting in May, I believe it is, right, Brendan?
We're exploring our options, so stay tuned for that. We have identified a partner, GGRA partner, that is willing to host in-person meetings. So we're looking at a way to do them kind of hybrid, but we'll give you more information about that as it develops.
And lastly, I noticed in the Gwinnett Daily Post today that Sheriff Ggra Taylor has been officially inducted as our new sheriff. And I think any of us who can email him now at kibo.taylor@gwinnettcounty.com and congratulate him again on becoming our new sheriff, and just say a word about GGRA and how we will look forward to working with him.
Amen. All right, guys. Well, I thank everyone that sent their well wishes, and Russell, thank you for that information. We're going to have some exciting times going forward, and I have every confidence in the new administration that's coming in. You guys will do wonderful. So if there's not anyone else, Bob.
I have a suggestion. This is a suggestion for whoever's going to be our new committee. There's been things in the paper from the new DA and the new sheriff, and there are people on the screen now that have a lot of wish lists that maybe the ordinary citizen wouldn't even think of. And so if we can, not together, but one time with the DA and one time with the sheriff, I would suggest not our regular meeting, but those of us that would have something we would like to suggest for the DA and be able to welcome them as people in the community that appreciate what they do. There can be some good changes coming up, I think. On the other hand, if we don't speak up, they may not know that we have some good ideas. So that's just my suggestion.
Yeah, that's something that we're looking into, having a listening session with both members of the new administration. I know Patsy Gatson, our new DA, has been to a GGRA meeting before and spoke, and she's really, in fact, in her induction earlier this year, she had a two-part induction. One was a ceremony, the second half was a listening session where she had people come up and speak, and she wants to do more of that. So we'll look into having a special listening session with both the sheriff and the DA going forward.
Thank you.
Hey, and I want to say real quick, I think we all owe you guys a great gratitude for, debt of gratitude for the way all of you have led in the midst of COVID, right? You've kept this going. You've kept the meetings very stable. You guys have been just a wonderful presence, I think, in our county and in all of our lives. So thank you guys. Thank you, Executive Committee, for not allowing this pandemic to slow y'all down, right? You transitioned or pivoted or whatever those catchphrases are well. So thank you guys. It's been, for the times that I've been able to get on, this has been one of the more professional meetings that I've been on, and it's been awesome. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Matt. We appreciate you as well. All right, guys. So with that, before we adjourn, let's just go to God in prayer, please. Father God, in the name of Jesus, Lord, we thank you for the time that you allowed us to spend today, Lord. Thank you for the fellowship, Father. Thank you for the wealth of information that you allowed us to have today. And it's all because of you that we're able to do that. Bless each and every one that is on this call, Father. Bless their organizations, Father. Bless their hands and their feet, Father. Thank you that they will have an abundance of financial blessing to continue the good work that they're doing out here in the community. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.